They're the players who carry the hopes of Aston Villa into every match. Their ability is well known, but how much do you know about them away from the field? For example, who phones his mum regularly for cooking tips? Whose nickname is The Shape? And who told us Barcelona was in Italy? All the answers are coming up as we delve into the lives of the Aston Villa Squaddies.
My ambition, and I've stated this since the start, is to be the best goalkeeper I can be. And that means really having to play in a World Cup and to put myself on a world stage to people say, I remember, hey, Mark Bosnich was one of the best goalkeepers that there was. I don't really get to watch too much television, to be fair, because the little one switches it off all the time. So, I like watching a film every now and again, but I don't really watch telly.
From a young age, you know, she can only remember me with a football at my feet, whether it was going to the shop or doing anything. I used to have to go to the shop with the football at my feet, or, you know, even if it was over to the field.
I suppose sometimes you regret not having the chance to do the wild things that some of your mates have done, but I wouldn't change the last few years of my life for anything, and football was always what I wanted to do, and despite what people said at school to put me off moving into that profession, that was what I ended up doing.
Well, I wasn't very good at the positions or anything like that, so basically I just chased the ball around the field and soon got clobbered for that and told what to do sort of thing. That was when I was about 13.
We really are a team now, and I think last season we struggled a bit because we weren't as together as we are now. And the banter's brilliant between the lads, and we get on really well.
I've not really been to be honest. I don't like flying for a start. That's the reason I've really been to many countries, but you know, I think Tenerife is the furthest I've flown.
What do you think of your teammates?
I think all the best, really. They're all good guys. They try to help me.
It's a good laugh, you know. You see, there's a few young lads. We've got our Nottingham contingent, me, Franz, Drapes and Charles Hugh, just travelling together. Got a couple of lads from Manchester, you know, so it's a good laugh. You know, we have a good laugh.
Some genuine lads and some good lads, you know, because if you have got a few rumbles in the dressing room, it doesn't half make a difference when you get out there on a Saturday. It doesn't always go well, whereas, no, you know, as I say, Aston Villa certainly in my time here, it's been very good like that.
That's the enjoyment of coming every day and being in a dressing room atmosphere and laughing and joking with the lads. And, it's tremendous, and I'm sure it's greatly missed by players after they've retired.
I've just read Paul McGrath's biography, or autobiography. Very interesting read. And I have a lot of respect for Paul because he lives in Manchester as well, and we drive down together. I've always liked training. I always try to put 100% into my training because I find it is a source of confidence.
Footballers tend to talk in their own language, and if you don't understand the football language, you would not understand what they're on about. And most of the things that have been said, obviously, in the dressing room is more Nicky-taking than anything else.
My first ever league game I saw was actually here when I was brought over for the trial, and it was brilliant atmosphere and that, and like such a novelty for coming over from Dublin to see a league game that people only dream about.
Obviously, moments are going to better clubs, so to speak. As in, you know, I was at Barnsley and moved on to Nottingham Forest, playing in the Premiership, and I suppose this comes along with another one of my best moments, you know, actually signing for Aston Villa.
I think making my debut for the under-21s, that was a great experience. And also I played recently against Stockport down here, and that's my first team debut, which I really enjoyed.
I had trials at a few other clubs, things didn't work out there, and it's a good friendly club. I've been happy here all the time that I've been here.
I'm born in Bijeljina. It's North Bosnia, northeast Bosnia, actually. I have unusual life there. Before we start this war, I started playing football when I was 13 years old. And after 2 years, I go to Belgrade.
Were you a very good player when you were a little boy?
I don't know. People say that. I don't know.
What I can remember, at the age of 6, really, I start just playing in the streets with the bigger boys back home, really. I mean, and then there was this coaching clinic. Used to happen every Saturday morning, and I was very fortunate to go to that every Saturday and try and just learn the basic, really. And I was very consistent in terms of going week in and week out, sort of thing.
Growing up in Australia was the memories I have is mainly of hot weather, cricket, and football in the winter. A lot of going to the beach on a Sunday with the family and friends. Like I said, in the summer, playing cricket with our friends. And in the winter, we went off virtually in separate directions. The majority of my cricketing friends would play rugby league, and I would go off with my Croat friends, and we'd play soccer then. And that was mainly growing up in Australia, really. The hot weather remains prominent in your mind on the beach.
The pitch will rock hard that we used to play. There were virtually no nets sometimes to hold the goal up. But as I say, at the time, it was just pure enjoyment of just having a game of football.
Is there anything that you remember doing when you were little that perhaps you got into trouble for?
Many trouble I do because I play football always, all the time. And when I should come to school, I play football really all the time. And I have many trouble because I play football.
I'll tell that I'm a good kid. I think that everyone else would have fallen on the other side of the fence. Some people used to describe me as a little bit of a terror, very cheeky always, but always smiling, always happy, and tried my best to keep on everybody's good side, but didn't always happen, didn't always work out that way. But I'll say, yeah, I was a good kid.
In fact, I can remember my first pair of boots, and my dad brought me that, and I was dead chuffed about it. And I couldn't wait to show all the boys what my dad had brought me.
What about your family? Tell me about your family.
I have my dad, brother and sister. They're all living in Bosnia.
As a family, not only just close family, i.e. my mum and dad and my sister, but grandmothers, grandfathers, cousins and so forth, would get together on a regular, perhaps twice a week. And these gatherings would be what everyone would look forward to swap stories of how they're doing in their various jobs or whatever they're partaking at that specific moment. And it's virtually the be-all and end-all. When you had to say goodbye, you had to say goodbye to the whole family, you had to say hello to the whole family. And we're very, very close as a unit, and we felt comfortable in that environment.
I came from quite a large family of 9, really. 6 boys and 3 girls. And I'm like, you know, the second to last, the 8th in the family. And she used to look after me, my mom, like, you know. And I do miss her cooking a hell of a lot.
Everything I can, I do for my family.
Can you recount any stories of your childhood?
Mainly ones when I'd finish off second best in certain things because I was thinking I was invincible. I could do things that I couldn't actually perform, and that wasn't human possible. I remember once roller skating. My whole family would come to roller skating. We'd used to go sometimes like once every month or so forth. And I used to always think I was the best at everything. I still do to an extent. And speed skating came on, and for the senior speed skating, it wasn't enough for me to just go on a junior speed skating. I was only about 9 years of age, and all these kids were like, the older kids, 17 or 18, so I was flying around, and I was going really good, you know, like, and as soon as things started to go well, I tried to, like, sort of, you know, motion over towards my family, and I took my eye off the ring for a little bit, and I slammed straight into this, like, pole, into a wall. I remember getting up and feeling really, really embarrassed, but I still got up and kept going around. And my family like to recall that story many a time, but there's thousands I could go into, but they usually end up, like I said, with mud in my face, so I don't like to recall many of them.
When you were at school, did you play any other sports?
Yes, I played many sports. I like ping pong, like you said. Big tennis, you know, I love it. And basketball in Yugoslavia, everybody loves basketball.
I knew that I had to, you know, the consequences that I had to face when I first came over here. That means giving up your cooking, my mother's cooking, all my friends, and in the sense that I wouldn't see them as often as I would like to. And having to come over here to make a new life of my own and meeting new people. As I said, getting used to the food, the way of life, everything is like completely different to the lifestyle I've been living back home, far different.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, very much so. I tend not to think about it a lot. I'd mull and probably miss it more than I'd like to admit, so I keep myself very, very busy. Very much preoccupied with what I'm doing over here, so I haven't got time to sit and think too much.
I came to England in '89, and I can remember the snow was really terrible out here as well, though. And I'm thinking, no, this is not happening here. It's not happening here. Let me go back home, like, you know. But then I stuck with it, and I was determined to sort of not let my family back, but, you know, home. Don't let them down. So I was determined, like deep down inside, to at least have a go at being a professional, even though it's something I've always wanted to do. But obviously with the interruption of like the snow making you change your mind a little bit, and it's freezing and things like that. But as I said, I was determined to success, at least give 100%. At least if it didn't work out, I can go back home to Trinidad again and say, well, you know, I've given my best, and that's all I could have done.
I come to ASton Villa to try to get better, because in Yugoslavia League I do everything what I can. I've been 2 years best player in Yugoslavia. We've been first in league twice, first in cup twice also. I have every medals in Yugoslavia. I come to England to try to get better, try my playing get better.
The way that I live now is the way that I think all young people back home would like to live. In your own house and your own car and having your own money, not having to rely on your mother and your folks for money and things like that. It's a big, big difference. And I'm saying it's not many people back home will have the luxury that I have had. I'm not saying it's been given to me, because I have to work very hard to achieve what I've actually achieved now. But as I said, I would not swap anything in the world for it now.
I never really set out to become a footballer. You know, from a young age, it wasn't something that I dreamt of day in, day out. Maybe as a real youngster, yes, you know, I was always loved football. But as I started to get into my teens, I wasn't obsessed with sort of desperate to become a professional footballer.
I started pretty young, I think, so my parents tell us I used to kick anything around. Tin cans are out, there's no footballs up in Geordie land, so probably just played at school and got spotted when I was about 13 and went to Notts County and probably know the rest.
I always wanted to play football, whatever level it might have been. I played sometimes 3 games in a weekend at boys level, and when I was older in my teens.
When I was at school, I was always very keen on my football. It was always drummed into me by my parents that I needed to make sure my education was right. And the teachers would sort of say, "Oh, do you know how many kids make it through to professional football?" So I did reasonably well at school. I mean, not as well as Mark Draper, apparently, because allegedly he's got 7 O-levels, but the lads are holding a steward's inquiry into that one. So, but no, I mean, I enjoyed my time at school, and the sport was a bonus for me at the time.
I wanted to be an accountant. I liked the idea of playing with figures. But when I went to part-time, I found out that wasn't for me.
Ever since I was about 3 or 4, all I wanted to do was come to England and play. You know, I had plenty of support from the family. My father played Gaelic back home, which was the main game, and I just continued from there. And with having 3 brothers, we were all playing together, and it just went from there, really.
I've done that already now, playing for the Villa, because I used to, you know, sit in a stand thinking, you know, I want to be out there playing for the Villa, and I've fulfilled that ambition now, and it's just been great.
When I grew up in Dublin, born in London, then grew up in Dublin, and my first team was Pearse Rovers, and then Dalkey United. It's just outside Dublin.
My league debut was against Villa, funnily enough, and it was, we won 2-0, and I played left back. I must have been quick in those days. But I played left back against Tony Daly, who had made his debut as well on that day. So that was quite interesting, and we won 2-0, and I don't remember much about it. It kind of whizzed past, you know. It really did. I was just anxious not to try and do anything stupid, not to do anything, not try and be clever, just do my job, and thankfully it went okay and we won 2-0.
I was asked to play for Chelmsford City, which was then in the old Southern League Premier, which is the same now as the Vauxhall Conference. Had 12 months there, near enough, and was spotted by Tony Barton, who was then assistant manager at Villa. Asked to come up on a 2-week trial, and here we are, 19 years, and it's been a great time.
When I was playing Sunday football in Croydon, Crystal Palace used to scout most of the teams in the area, and they for training, and I signed associate schoolboy forms with them when I was 15, and just followed a natural progression through YTS and into the professional ranks there.
The CS when I left school, be an apprentice and take it from there, and lucky enough to become a pro.
Did you ever think of doing anything else at all?
What, Newcastle? No, there's nothing else up there, to be fair. You know, everyone dreams football, so to be playing it is tremendous.
They just call me Spinksy, really. Maybe it's I'm too big. Maybe they don't bother giving me a nickname in case they threaten them. But no, it's just been Spinksy. It's been like that all through my career. So I had a nickname one for about a year. They called me Briegel. Apparently, I looked like a German, and they named me after the German fullback. But that's the only nickname apart from Spinksy that I've had at the club.
But they call me the Gate. Or Harry, which is something John Gregory dreamed up, some play on words with Enfield and Southgate, and he said it's a political borough or something, so I'm now Harry Enfield, and it's a weird and wonderful one.
I started calling him Harry when he came because of, there's a place in London, there's a district called Enfield and Southgate. It's a constituency in London, and obviously Enfield, Harry Enfield, and we haven't got Harry, so I thought it was logical that we better have Harry in the club. So he gets called Harry, he gets called H. The Gate has picked up just lately.
I call him Gates. You know, another quiet lad, although he's got a tendency to throw 1 or 2 one-liners in and just keep the momentum off a joke or a prank going.
The Gate, or even the Beak too. for obvious reasons.
Obviously the nose gets a mention, but Andy Townsend's taking the pressure off me with that one.
He's more reserved, he's more hello chicks kind of man, isn't he? He's like very reserved, and he's a PFA rep, and you know, he's got a very articulate look about him, you know.
Gareth tends to be Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Diplomatic. He's a PFA representative. So it just goes to show you what sort of person he is. He's what I can say is he's like the Mr. Nice.
That's absolutely right. I've never done anything wrong, and you know, I've got nothing to declare on that front. And everybody probably hate me for that.
When tomorrow? I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I'm going home tomorrow.
Go.
Thanks.
All right. How many more mates are you going to bring round? I mean, I'm fortunate because at Palace they used to call me after Dennis Norden because I tend to stutter and stammer a little bit in my sentences. So they used to call me Nord there.
I gather from Crystal Palace that he was called Nord after Dennis Norden. Now, I wasn't too sure whether or not it was whenever he trained from Monday to Friday, you know, he was that bad in training that they used to say it'll be all right in the night, or it was because, I'm trying to think who told me, David Kemp told me that they called him Nord because he knew everything, like Dennis Norden. He was a complete know-all. And so that one's sort of yet to pick up here.
I must say that at Crystal Palace there was a lot more stick flies around than there is at Villa, so I'm sort of ready for it if they're going to start.
He senses danger so quickly. He's not one to overplay in his own penalty area. If he feels it needs to go in the back row of the stand, he puts it in there. And to me that's always a good defensive attitude. And as you've seen over the last sort of few games, he's very comfortable in possession. And he's given us a little bit more, an extra dimension in as much as we can keep the ball. We can always go back into the back four to give it to Gareth, to shift it along the back four and come out the other side. And he's certainly comfortable as well when he comes into that midfield area as well, because of course he's played most of his career in the midfield area. Always likely to score a goal or two as well. But he's come in and he's certainly mixed in very well, very quickly in the dressing room. And he's settled down, and when you look at the amount of money that we paid for him, 2.5 million, it does seem a bargain by today's prices.
Oh, here we go. Where's he now? Yorkie. What do we call Yorkie? Foxy, looks like Rule Fox. Sorry.
Yeah, Yorkie's called the Fox probably because one of the bright lads in our team reckoned he looked like Rule Fox.
Well, they call me Foxy. Don't know why. I think they think I look like Rule Fox a little bit for some reason.
I mean, if Yorkie said that himself, then he must feel he looks like Rule Fox. For what reason, I do not know. I haven't got a clue.
I think I'm better looking than him anyway.
Dwight's a bit of a ladies' man. He makes people think that he's a quiet and he's this and he's that, but deep down you've got to watch him.
He's a good lad, Dwight. He's really come out of his shell now, and in the position he's playing now, he's the top striker, and I think he's relishing every moment of it.
Righty, yeah, the big man. Yeah, he's a quiet lad. He doesn't get a lot of stick. He's just known as Righty. Comes in, does off and goes home again, back to Manchester. So nobody knows a lot about Righty really. So we're a bit wary of him.
And he's come in here and he's settled in very quickly. Gets a bit of stick now and again about his height, but who wouldn't when you're that small? I mean, it's natural that footballers are going to pick on him, and particularly these boys here.
My nickname is anything to do with short, midget, dwarf, anything.
Papillon, I always call him that, Papillon, because he looks like a prisoner of war sometimes, some mornings. When he comes in with his half-grown beard and, you know, his burnet's going a bit.
Baldy. That's one of Mark's. People think they're twins, but I'm sure once you've seen this video, you'll see that I'm a lot better looking than what he is.
So Alan Wright looks like Tom Hanks out of Philadelphia.
When you see his boots in his place, you would think they're for the mascot. You really would, because he's got these tiny little feet, and yet strikes a fantastic ball. Can get up in the air and head a ball for somebody that sort of belies his height. He's tremendous in the air. Generally gets around the pitch very comfortably, he's very quick, and we think we got a bargain when we got him from Blackburn Rovers.
I think the lads feel sorry for him. They don't like taking the mickey out of him too much because he's so small. But we don't know an awful lot about him. I think that'll change soon. We'll have to start getting into Macca's ribs to see if he can find out one or two things about him, or his previous club, or anything on him at all. But I'm sure by the end of the season we'll know one or two more things about him.
You know who?
Does anybody want to say anything about?
Definitely the freak, the Buzzy. Buzzy is definitely the loudest. He's very hyperactive kind of guy. As I said there again, he's one of my best friends at the club. And I know him sort of inside out virtually. And he's got this nickname which I think he would kill me if I sort of mention it. But we call him the Freak.
The Freak, yeah. Most of the lads call him the Freak because I think Dino actually gave him the nickname of the Freak. Basically because he's a one-off. I mean, you don't see many like him.
Bit of a freak, freakish laugh.
Known as the Freak, obviously for his saves and whatnot, but we like to tend to think it's more to do with his bonnet.
I'd like to think respected for what I can do on the pitch, and also respected for the person I am off it. Probably 9 out of 10 of them will say, "Oh, Bozzy," and laugh, and they say, "Well, you know, he's not unsure about himself, put it that way." But that's the way I am. I've got tremendous belief in myself, my ability, and I'm not too particularly worried. I don't have many hang-ups of what people think about me. So sometimes people perceive that in different ways, and it's up to them to say. And I would never begrudge anyone if they call me anything from a big Ed to a great person. I wouldn't begrudge any of them. I'd just laugh and say, fair enough, because everyone's entitled to opinion.
He has just got so many sides to his character. He can be nice and sweet and innocent. He can be ruthless, vindictive. But generally, he's a good lad.
Not only is he an outstanding goalkeeper, I mean, he keeps things out of the net that mere mortals can't seem to get to.
And a super save by Bosnich.
And Bozzy's bubbly character around the place. I mean, you need people like him within the club, and he's certainly got his head down this season in particular. He's working extremely hard. Again, it's a pleasure to have around the place. He keeps it all together.
Well, I'd like to think that. I'd like to think that they think well of me. Everyone does deep down, but if they don't, who cares?
You can't say that on there.
What can we say about TJ? He's one of these lads, typical Geordie, you know, likes his nights out when he can get out, and likes taking the mickey out of fans' car, I think. The two of them have a personal feud going, but another good lad, and keeps the dressing room going.
Come on, man. Fool.
Yeah, Tommy gets a bit of stick because of his hairdo. He's got a dodgy hairdo, and he does get a bit of stick for that.
Here we have the village.
You fool.
Haircut, Tom. We found him in the same stores as
Carrot. I wonder why.
We call him rooftop head or loo brush head because of his thickness of his hair.
Bog brush head. Not really, just no, Ricky. They call me Ricky. So that's about it.
Myself and Ricardo have just gone into the first team dressing room really at the start of the season, so the incredibly quiet men, really nobody I think knows we're even in there. So for the moment that's all right. It's when we start getting abused I gotta start worrying.
Oaksy, Wolf, and that's about it really.
I've not acquired a nickname actually. I had a couple while I was at Forest, Tiles for obvious reasons, and Stuart Pearce christened me Grow Bags because he said when I first joined the club I was like 6'3" and about 13 young, and he says someone stuck you in a grow bag or something, you know. That I didn't think it'd stick, but unfortunately that nickname stuck for quite a long time while I was there.
Stan. Stan's got one or two names actually. The Tramp, sometimes call him. The Body. I think that's more of a recent one, The Body.
Stan's known as the Shape because of his body. He gets a bit of stick because he hasn't got too many muscles on his body. He gets a lot of stick from the likes of Andy Townsend, who is his teammate for the Irish team.
Stan is the one I know. I've been called that right through from my Liverpool days, and it's not because of Stan Laurel, I'll tell you that now. But it was an old coach at Liverpool called John Bennison, and he was around in the times when there was Staunton playing. So when I first came, he just automatically, because of my surname being Staunton, he just started calling me Stan. And then after a few weeks, he started calling me Steve, but by that time, the lads have latched on and started calling me Stan. I've heard a lot worse nicknames than that, so I'm quite happy with it.
Thinks he knows everything. To be fair, he does in some of the things, but knowing Stan's never wrong. And he can moan for fun, never stops moaning.
Stan's one of the world's biggest moaners as well. He's another one. I think it's this Liverpool thing. Once you play for Liverpool, you're taught how to moan when you go there.
Stan's a good lad.
Stan's got an unbelievable left foot. I mean, he can get pickles out of a jar with it. It's quite incredible. Any distance, he can put it basically where you want it. Drop it in a bucket from 50 yards.
And Staunton, I think, has scored direct from a corner. I'm sure nobody got a touch on that.
Beaker for Andy Townsend, because he's got a small nose. I'm going to get hammered.
For me, Andy Townsend is like top man. You know, he's a hell of a guy. As I said, he's got a lot of experience behind him. He's been at, at a number of clubs. He's a bit of a storyteller as well, Andy. He makes me laugh all the time. And he's got a bit of a surname as well. We call him the Beak, but I can't tell you. You probably guess why. You guess why we call him the Beak. And
Towner, yeah. Through his career, I believe he's been known as the Beak. For what reason? Doesn't spring to mind really, but. He's a good lad, Andy, and he comes in. He dresses well for the lads and puts all his, gives it his best shot every day with his gear. And the Beak's his nickname, really.
The Beak's a good lad, at the centre of all the pranks in the dressing room. I think he tries to get into the dressing room first and foremost, so as he can hang up whichever bad jumpers or bits of clothing that's been worn on the day, or to give out the yellow jersey, which he's deserved on a few occasions, but gets out of it due to his pranks.
Big is a funny man. He knows everybody. Anybody who's important, he knows. He's quite funny as well, actually, and he's quite sharp. I would say he was one of the boys as well.
Tanner's dead dry. He doesn't say very much, but when he does, it's really funny.
I think most footballers are the same. If someone starts having a go, the best way to get out of it is have a go back at someone else, but drag someone else into it.
They call him the Beak after the Bugle. He's another one that's from Nose City, I think. We've got a few of them, haven't we? So he gets a bit of stick about the Bugle, but it's all in good heart because he dishes out quite a bit anyway. So we have a bit of fun with him in that respect. But to me, Townsend is a very underrated player. In my eyes, I don't really think he gets the credit he deserves because he rarely gives the ball away on a Saturday. If he does, it bothers him. He's one of those guys, it really bothers him if he gives the ball away. Doesn't score as many goals, that's another one, working against him. He doesn't score enough goals. He's certainly one that I'd want in my team every week. And he's one that you want in the trenches as well because he's quite prepared to put his foot in, roll his sleeves up and get on with it. And of course he's got the cuts and bruises to prove it over the years.
You're okay, what's his swing back?
Hugo, the lads call him Jurassic because of his size 13 feet and his big hands and his huge frame. They take the mickey out of him that he eats eucalyptus leaves and frees tea and things like that. So yeah, that's for Hugo as well.
you call Hugo drastic, like, you ever seen Drastic Park, obviously. He's like a big drastic, isn't he? And that's a sort of name that Hugo has been stuck with for a long time.
Yeah, he's got a few nicknames. Jurassic. He's got canoes on his feet.
Hugo's feet get a bit of stick. Yeah. It takes about size 19, I think. They're always coming for a bit of abuse in the morning.
Yeah, Bozzy's one.
You could sleep in there. Hugo's. You could sleep in there.
They call me Jurassic because I'm supposed to resemble a dinosaur in some way. But I'll let you judge that for yourself.
Well, Macca, what can you say? The Villa fans call him God, and he certainly is. He's still going at the age of 36, and quiet fella, but does his business on the park.
His performances on the pitch speak for itself, really.
It's just class above everybody else, really.
He's just amazing, isn't he? I mean, he keeps going and going. I mean, he's got bad knees and that, but he just, just performs week in and week out, to the best of his ability, and, he's absolutely brilliant.
Well, I see Paul McGrath each morning. I expect to see him each morning. It wouldn't be the same if I went home and didn't see him. We're quite good friends now, I think. What he does, he comes in a wee bit earlier and he warms up on their bike in the gym, and some days he'll go out and join the squad for the days. If his knees are a wee bit sore, he'll stay in the gym with me and do a wee bit more in there. You won't mind me saying this, but next month he'll be 36 years of age. Anybody to be playing Premier League football at 36 is magnificent anyway.
He's pushing on a bit now though, but he'll still do a great job for you. A lot of respect for him and a lot of time for him.
Paul McGrath, I don't think there's much I can add to what has already been said about him and written about him all these years. He's known as God in the dressing room, he's known as God throughout the country, really, particularly when he goes home to Ireland.
I always see Macca as like a gentleman, as well as someone you can relate to as one of the players. I mean, everyone's got so much respect for him.
Paul doesn't train. I think that's a well-known fact as well, but he's got such bad knees that really he just saves himself for match days. But as you've seen his performances in matches, really, he doesn't need to train. As long as he keeps performing like that each and every Saturday, we've certainly been very happy with him.
Drapes, well, it's probably all been said before. Drapes, a bright lad, always on the button. An intellect, fantastic. He's an intellect. Yeah, he's far way above all the other lads in the intellectual side.
Well, Drapes, yeah, he's like, Tommy Johnson calls him Plug off the Bash Street Kids. Do you remember Plug? I think that's a bit harsh.
Drapes is just, is somebody you just look at and you laugh at him.
Mark Draper.
He's not the brightest of lads, although he thinks he is.
He may be the butt of more jokes than a lot of people.
He's got the weirdest laugh that you can think of, and obviously I think you call him Tim.
Nice but dim, the fellow for Harry Enfield.
I think he's at the centre of every prank or joke in the dressing room. I don't mean he's doing it, it's all at him.
Oh, when Mark Draper was about to come in, I've just heard him laugh. He'd have a pair of jeans on and a jumper. Here we go. What is that?
He'll laugh at his own jokes, even if they're that bad.
Team you'd most like to play against?
It's just one of the top Italian sides, probably, like Milan or Barcelona.
Thick.
He's having one.
He's not the brightest, Drapes, but he gets quite a bit of stick for it, and the way he dresses, the way he walks, lack of hair.
Am I great?
He ain't really got a lot going for him, to be fair.
That's it, cut, come on.
Mark Draper will play for England if he wants to. That's it.
Milosevic. Draper. It's 2-0. And Mark Draper, the £3.25 million signing from Leicester City, gets his first Villa goal.
I'm not a fussy eater. I mean, I'll eat anything really. I will be. I do, you know. I mean, I can have. If I go home and my wife's been out all day or is busy and like, fine, I'll have fish and chips. Doesn't worry me at all. I don't have to have pastas the night before games. I'm sure, you know, Paul Barron at the ground will be cursing to hear me say this, but I don't. You know, I have what I want to have.
Favourite food: pasta, Chinese, chips, doner kebabs, curries.
I'll eat anything, but at the moment we're on a bit of a health kick, so fish and chips I'd say was favourite. Or doner kebab and chips, that'd be my favourite.
Spaghetti bolognese. It's my favourite food.
The older you get, I think the more difficult it is to conform to all the newer kind of regime of diets and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I laugh at Alan Evans and John Gregory and Paul Barron. They're all sitting there eating broccoli and pasta and stuff like this, you know, and yet when they were playing, I can imagine them going into a canteen after training, and it'd be egg and chips and you know, a bit of bacon and a mug of tea.
I have to say, probably one of Sarah's pasta dishes that she does for me now. I have to say that because I won't get any tonight.
Favourite food's got to be chicken and pasta.
Italian football thing that, you know, with the pasta. And being a footballer, you have to eat that pasta thing that you get used to. But I enjoy Italian as well, but if I have a choice, I'll have Chinese every day of the week if I could.
Maybe have a pizza or something that would be on a Sunday, where I let my body sort of recuperate and to rest and to sort of change the system around. But for the 6 days a week, or even 7 days a week, I mean, I'll have, like I said, a low-fat pizza or something like that, or a few biscuits and some milk on a Sunday. But for the majority part of the week, it's more of a necessity.
I like Italian food, and that'd be my first, probably Chinese second.
Chinese, my favourite food, pasta, burgers and chips.
Arroznici. Italians, I like Italians, Chinese, and that's basically it, that's all I eat really.
Karagiorgio Schnitzel.
I have to say Chinese food.
It's something like beef, steak. You say steak, something like that, but it's different.
Favourite foods? Well, being Italian, it's got to be pasta.
Favourite food would be Chinese food.
Diet is 100% spot on. You've got to be ruthless with yourself and your body, and if you want to achieve great things, you've got to do extra than what the next man's prepared to do. That's the only way you're going to get places.
Drink? No, I've never touched a drop in my life. I wouldn't have the odd lager in my time, but I love tea. Drink tea for fun.
You know, I like lager really is what I'll drink. If I'm in Ireland, I don't mind a pint or two of Guinness.
I like blackcurrant lemonade or lime and lemonade. Good drinks that I enjoy.
Lager? I like lager, beer, you know.
Coca-Cola, I'd have to say. Not really a beer monster.
I can't really say I like alcohol because, to be honest, it makes me sick.
I do like a bit of Ribena now and again.
Ribena. I love Ribena.
I hate Ribena, yes. No, I'm a bit partial to a nice pint of bitter and a bit later on a Bacardi and Coke. Usually a double.
I do like a Budweiser now and again as well.
Lemonade, Coke, things like that.
Pineapple juice.
At the moment, I'm into bottled lager.
I'd say orange juice, occasionally lager.
Guinness, I like a drop of Guinness. A pint.
I mean, during the week I just drink mostly water and stuff like that, but I you know, enjoy a few beers at the weekend to unwind.
I tend to get home and just take it easy, really. I like to play the guitar. I really enjoy that. I've got a couple of nice guitars and a collection of a big collection of CDs and books and everything, you know, that can aid me along the way, try and make me a little bit better. But I do very much enjoy that. I watch very little telly really during the week, and in fact now OJ's all done and dusted. I don't know what I've got to do with myself, but I much sooner. You know, when the kids are gone to bed, if my wife's watching the telly, I nip to a little room I've got where I've got all my bits and bobs in there, and I just go and, you know, play my guitar really for a couple of hours or so. And I find that, you know, a good way for me of relaxing. You know, I can really enjoy that, and I don't bother answering the phone. I don't do nothing, as my wife will probably tell you. For the last sort of, really for the last couple of years or so, I've got into to motorbikes. My other brother Ken used to ride them a lot, and when he wasn't around I used to jump on his bike and have a little go on his when he weren't around a few years ago when I was living at home. And I've always liked motorbikes. I can remember as a schoolboy being infatuated with getting a motorcycle, you know, at some stage, or a moped, anything to start with. I don't think my mum and dad were too keen on any of that, and as I say, my brother Ken had bikes, and he, touch wood, he never done himself any real harm, but he come off it once or twice, I think, and you know, my mum was going to be never going to be too keen to let me have one. So anyway, I sort of passed all my tests and that, and I bought myself a Harley Davidson, which is really nice. It weighs a ton, but it's a good bit of fun riding it. It is really good fun. I've also got a Triumph, which is obviously a bit quicker and a little bit more roadworthy, if you like. But I enjoy motorbikes. I do. I don't go mad on them. I very rarely go out on them. Obviously, in my profession, I'd be a fool to be pushing my luck with anything like that. So I tend to look for clear blue skies and Sunday mornings, and you know, I just generally take it easy. So if you see me, be careful.
Cricket and tennis. I don't play as much cricket as I'd like to, but that's the way it is. But we have a cricket team through the year with the lads, and usually have a couple of games. And Steve Staunton is our waiter. He comes. He's a social secretary. He comes and gets all the beers from the bar and walks on the field of play while we're actually playing, and hands out the beers to all the fielders. So yeah, cricket, and I've just got into the last 2 years having a few lessons. Backhand's not the best, but it's coming on.
I think golf would be the main one, then snooker. I like the golf, snooker now and again, especially in the winter, the indoor sport, but I do like my golf when I can get a game.
And I play tennis when I have time.
Who do you play tennis against?
Against my friends. I have some friends here. You know, many Serbs living here in Birmingham and England.
I play a bit of snooker when, you know, when we're not training and stuff, just pass the time. I'm not too hard at it, but I enjoy a game.
I like to swim. I like to play snooker. I have a girlfriend, so you could call that a hobby. Yeah, so I mean, that's my hobbies mainly.
I do enjoy cooking. There are times, as I say, I like eating out as well. But virtually now I'm thinking of taking up cookery as well, which is one of my secrets really, but I've let it out now. But I'm going to go to some cookery sort of classes and take up cooking. I like to be a good cook. Sometimes I think about my mom, and you know, if I'm struggling in terms of cooking in the way that my mom cooked back home, I sort of on the phone, on the cordless phone, and I'm ringing my mom up, what shall I do here now? And she's at the end of the other phone, well, do this, and this is how you should be going about it. And I try to follow instruction, and sometimes you go, Mom, it's not coming out the best, like it's not looking as good as yours. And she said, well, it's the first time, you got to keep practicing. But yeah, I do enjoy cooking.
A trip to Belgrade will the deal which brought Savo to England. Villa were to play a friendly against his former club Partizan Belgrade, but the weather put a stop to that. So instead, the Squaddies were merely non-playing ambassadors for both club and country. On arrival at the hotel, it was clear the weather may have won, but Villa's reputation meant they were still very much in demand, and the men who joke in the dressing room with each other on regular occasions played the more serious role with equal ability.
There is about 1 degree here. And in Paris, it was okay, yeah. Seemed to, yeah, the weather was fine coming over.
The fact it wasn't fine in Belgrade meant talking football was all that was left, plus a trip to an empty stadium.
This is, you know, this is this tour.
Yeah.
Trophies.
For the European
When you are born?
1970.
1970. It was 1966.
Outside, there were plenty of pretty pictures available and plenty of photo opportunities for the locals, but little else. Except, would you believe, for some supreme optimism.
If you stop.
Thank you. See now, apparently the guy says if it stops in the next couple of hours, they're on. So really fun. He's having a laugh, isn't he? He's got two hopes of it being on. Slim and none.
So it was back to relaxation and to food, and time for the first ever video diary of Belgrade with Bosnic.
All the chefs and the waiters and that over there. This is Saveta.
Yes, my name is Saveta, chef de cuisine in Belgrade Heights, Regency.
There you go.
It's very nice.
And the food's very nice. What have we got here?
Very nice. And pork schnitzel.
Pork schnitzel.
Okay, scallop bread, it's sauteed
potatoes.
The
pasta.
chili pasta and cream sauce, very nice in dessert table.
There we go, see?
Very nice.
Hvala Saveta.
Happy, no problem, tomorrow make him.
Nema problema. Samo snijeg da fremaj.
Oh, yes, okay, just normal.
Svi will be u redu.
Yes, okay.
Okay, there we go. Bon appetit. This is how more you can't be looking at dead people's names and pictures in the newspaper. In between watching it snow again. Yes, again. Hello, it's me. Outside the Hyatt.
Yeah.
Shop we're in a lounge. Yeah. That one died of boredom while watching the snow. I am a service.
But Savo was of course the star attraction, and the local TV studios provided the second episode of Belgrade with Bosnic.
Oh, you got 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes, that's and then go, right? Because you've been walking around with us all day. There you've got Igor, Savo. There's stars here. Velike zvezde all there. Za Belgrade. That means they're big stars here in Belgrade. Gaffer's over there overseeing everything. Just if you want to have a look over there, just make sure everything's fine. I don't think I'm and Gareth's over there is their bodyguard. Let's get Gareth on as well. He's just making sure everything's fine, no girls come in between us and there's no drink or anything. He's our diplomat, John Major. Right, we'll interview Igor and Savo here. Come on, get him in here. So Igor, so how's the trip been so far?
Which?
Well, the trip. Yes, the trip here. How have we been behaving ourselves?
Well, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think the game was fantastic.
Savo, so have you enjoyed coming back home?
I enjoy it
very much. Yeah. And how was what did we do yesterday? Tell the viewers back in Birmingham what was Squaddies u jučer.
Well, Mark was here and Dwight York was here and Savo also. And this is the most popular sports show and program in Yugoslavia, and that means that the most popular players coming from the English Premier League today in Yugoslavia are Mark Bosnich and Dwight York.
See. And of course Savo doesn't have to be popular at all because he's already a star over here. Savo, how come all them girls are saying hello to you when you're walking? Tell everyone back in Birmingham.
No. It's my friends.
It's only friends. They're only friends. Okay, I think we'll go over here now and we'll interview someone else. We'll go over here and interview Gareth. See? He's come all this way from Belgrade. Look, he's carried that camera. And let me do a quick interview. Gareth, how have you... Let's just get on to me now. So, like, how have I been coping? How have I been coping with...
As it goes, Bosny's Serbo-Croat, which he's been learning on the bus. It's coming in very handy this trip.
Tell him about like my say conversing techniques with like telephones and asking people for drinks and things like that. Tell them all. Tell them.
As Bosny has been learning Serbo-Croat on his linguaphone on the bus.
Touching up.
And I must admit, it has come in very useful for me this trip.
That's right.
3 coffees we've had so far.
As we turn around now, we come round here, slowly but surely we come round, we'll find the gaffer. He's talking over here with Igor at the moment. If we just close in.
How you doing, boys?
Hi, Gaff. We 4th in the league.
Sit yourself down.
Right,
Behave yourself.
4th in the league. You've got us all under great control. How are we doing over here on the trip in Belgrade?
Well, you're not under great control. That's for certain.
Well, we got all the...
But you're under control.
We're under control. We've got all Yorkie and Tails and Yuga and the likes of them.
Keep an eye on.
Thankfully
it's snowing, so they're in.
That's right. That's in down. Do you think we would have won? Do you think we would have won the game, Gaff?
Hang on.
Yeah. Yes. See, positive attitude.
For
that's
sure.
Right, see?
Yeah, especially in the snow.
3rd of the season so far gone. So far so good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Steady up to now.
We're looking to put the pedal on now for the rest of the season.
Steady as ever, boys, aren't we?
That's right.
Feet on the ground.
That's it, feet on the ground.
Surprise a few.
Keep nice and low key, and we'll be up there, top 6. That's what we're looking for. We'll surprise a few, like the gaffer said. That's just about it. We're going to sign off now. You've got all the camera work and footage that you'll need for the rest of the trip, so you should be happy. And that's it, yes. We're going to the banquet tonight, then we're in bed for 12 o'clock, just to show that we're, even on our weeks off, we're thoroughly professional. Okay, signing off.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, it's my pleasure and honour to speak as the President of ASton Villa. First of all,
the Belgrade hospitality knew no bounds, but it didn't meet with everybody's approval.
That is like goulash.
You guys says, can you have this beef with a different sauce?
You should have just slipped in. That is like goulash. You've had a nightmare, yeah?
Not really happening now. Way safer than the chicken.
The players were destined to leave without a game, but with many gifts. And true to form, the jokes, one-liners and general mayhem continued through the night.
On a serious note, it's been fantastic. It's been frustrating because of the snow.
It was, of course, timing that brought a thaw just as the Squaddies were destined to leave. They'd been the perfect ambassadors. The chairman could feel justifiably proud of his team and indeed his club. The snowy insight into Savo's home was not to be forgotten.
Seen a nice Jaguar, what I quite fancy.
New Mark that's just come out. I think I'll be looking at that one.
Maybe probably a Mercedes or a BMW.
Honda NSX. when you've seen it, it's superb.
More of a Lamborghini, I think, you know.
Definitely go for a BMW or something like that. Lamborghini Diablo.
I'd have the top of the range of a Discovery.
I haven't actually got a clue about cars. To be honest, I'm not really that bothered about cars.
The Porsches, the top of the range BMWs, the 850 Ci, the Lamborghini.
I'm not into flash cars like all the lads, you know, they've got all the BMWs, all the big time Charlies. Let them get on with it.
Most memorable game would probably be the Romania game against Romania in 1990 in Italy. That was just such a big emotional day that day. It was very, very hot, and the game itself finished 0-0. It was absolutely boring, and we then had extra time, and then of course we had the penalty shootout. You know, and this was all to play Italy in the quarterfinals in Rome. There was such a lot at stake, and when we come through that penalty shootout, and it was a fantastic feeling, you know, to get through that and to get through the next phase was just amazing. It was Ireland's first ever World Cup campaign, and it was a really, really fantastic day.
As a one-off game, I would have to say last year's Cup semi-final when I captained Palace at Villa Park. And a game we should have won when we drew 2-2 with Manchester United.
Tolako's header, Dowie, Palace in the leads. Chancellor Armstrong and loops it over Schmeichel.
Another day that springs to mind was when I captained Palace to the Championships the year before, the First Division Championship. And that was a proud day to lift the trophy at home. And what was the last day that Palace had a standing end at Selhurst.
I think it's got to be the opening day against Man United. We played so well that day. That's got to be the best game I've played in.
Dwight York, who has been busy in this first quarter of an hour, and a nice ball back to him from Townsend. That came off the forehead of Neville. Villa still have it. Here's Charles, just drilled it in. Taylor scores.
My favorite game against Coventry, of course.
2 goals?
Yeah.
The first goal you scored for Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Can you remember that one?
Against Blackburn, I think. It was beautiful goal.
Tell me about that one.
I don't know what to say. It's my first goal. My favorite goal.
And you celebrated?
Yeah.
And you ran the full length of the pitch?
Yeah, I ran. This goal is very important for me. And because of that, I ran. I don't know what to do.
Most memorable game would have to be the Blackburn-Leicester playoff. We scored a penalty, missed another penalty, and then we was under the cosh for about 40 minutes. But the elation after the game had finished was unbelievable. It was a superb feeling and something that I'll always remember with me.
I'd have to say Inter Milan at home, Trabzonspor at home, although it didn't quite end the way we wanted it to. And Tottenham away this season, because I scored.
I think that would have to be the Coca-Cola Cup final against Man United. Obviously because it was against my old team and we won 3-1.
Is there any particular memory of that game that you have?
No, just the winning of it, I think. It went pretty quick, but it was just realising that we beat them. I think it was a big thrill for me. I actually had a bad shoulder and I got it the night before, so I was struggling a little bit, but when I was up half the night with it, the doctor gave me an injection before the game in the shoulder and it was okay during the game.
But apart from the lads, certainly nobody else that I know of knew that Paul McGrath was struggling with an injury.
Oh, well, I think it showed a little bit. You had to know that I had it, but I couldn't lift my arm up or I couldn't even clap the supporters actually before the game, so it did affect me a little bit, but I got through it okay.
There's always the obvious one. I mean, when people hear this interview, they'll always know what I'm going to say, really. It was the European Cup final in 1982, coming on after some 10 minutes and keeping a clean sheet, really, and us winning 1-0. It'll always stick in my mind as my greatest performance for the club, but then, people are surprised at that.
Well, my favourite game has got to be, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, playing for Nottingham Forest. We were playing Chelsea, and we actually beat them 7-0. And yeah, it was really enjoyable. We played some really good stuff, and everything we seemed to hit went in. It was just an unbelievable game, really. And I don't think Chelsea played particularly bad. We were just sort of very good on the day. So yeah, I think that's got to be one of my favourite games. Yeah.
My hat-trick, I think, against Wimbledon last season. I haven't played too many games, so I think that's about the only one I've played decent in.
I've played in a couple of World Cups which were unbelievable, the atmosphere of the whole tournament, which is totally different to the one-off experience of an FA Cup or a Coca-Cola Cup. But I think the Coca-Cola Cup more so because it was Man U and they were at the height and they were going for the treble, really. I think everybody fancied them. They'd already won the league, as if it were, and they were in the FA Cup final. And I think everybody expected them to win the FA Cup final and probably beat us, but to stop them doing that was something special as well.
2-3. We played West Ham away in the final game of the season, and I think we won 2-1 or 2-0. I scored both goals, and it stopped West Ham winning the title because they had the medals and everything at Upton Park. Because they only needed a draw, and Oldham had to win away somewhere. And we beat West Ham, and Oldham won as well. So, we cost them the title. So that was an enjoyable game.
I think the Liverpool games. I think those, because of the situation that we were in last season, fighting for relegation battle, and having to come and score 2 goals. I think those are memorable games that I will remember.
Why?
I think because I scored 2 goals as well. No, I think because I think the result in itself was important on the day, and maybe if we hadn't have won that game, I think we could have probably facing relegation quite heavily, really. But then, you know, fortunate that the team came through that day and got the results. And as I say, I'm quite pleased to say that I've scored the 2 goals, which makes it even a bit more memorable towards me anyway.
The most memorable game would have to be, without doubt, either semi-final second leg against Tranmere or the actual final of that Coca-Cola Cup that year. I mean, that whole run was memorable, and that's really my first full season. The final, because we beat Manchester United, stopped them taking the treble that year. That was my old team, and we played so well on the day, and my parents were there, and my uncle from Croatia, and it was just a fantastic day. It went so well. And the semi-final, for obvious reasons, for the penalty shootout and the pressure that it entailed, and the fact that Aston Villa hadn't been to Wembley for so long, and I feel I played my part in helping the club and the supporters. You know, when I look at the video and I see the supporters' face, how much it meant to them, that's special to me. And that was a moment that will be memorable for me for the rest of my life. When I saved that last penalty and realised that I helped the team, helped the supporters and the manager at the time get to Wembley. That was fantastic.
Any music really, all the chart music, dance music.
I like a bit of dance music, but I'm mainly soul-based.
Oasis, Blur, In Excess, you know, varied selection, not particularly one kind.
Soul, funk, that type of music.
Chart music and dance music, basically. I've really got into the Red Hot Chili Peppers at the minute. I think they're brilliant. I've been a big U2 fan for many.
Very widespread, really. Anything from classical through to rap.
I've got a few bits of classical music now, only joking. Just into dance music, really.
You know, I think if you're involved in a football team, you have to like virtually anything, just because the boys will bang something on the coach or in the dressing room, and you just get used to listening to everything.
Fashion, clothing, style.
Yeah,
tell me.
It's me.
You know, I like my clothes coming from London.
He gets a bit of stick about his gear.
My gear's all right, if anyone goes any further.
He don't mind stick about his training or his playing or his driving. Generally, he don't like his clothes.
I'd like to be able to show a few of the boys what they're missing out on, really.
The gates, shirt's a bit dodgy.
We all have a little chip every day when somebody walks through the door. You know, there was always a comment about what somebody's got on.
Fran, what do you think of the gear, the lads?
Players are always ridiculed if they've got the same tracksuit or the same trousers or jeans or whatever as they had the day before. They always get hammered for that.
Jeans, not bad. Oh, look at that belt. Been them.
Andy Townsend's usually the worst one. He usually spots things straight away.
Now, if you look at Bozzy, you see here we've net this. Look, the old Reebok bottoms. How many days you had this on this week?
Every day so far.
Every day so far. This isn't bad for Boz, actually.
Sarah's tried her hard out to get me some sort of dress sense, but she's still banging head against a brick wall, I suppose.
I was fully expecting we're coming that for the rest of this week.
So far as trends, I didn't have much of a clue about what's latest in and what's trendy and so forth.
I do like to dress well.
I just enjoy looking good, I suppose.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit of a snazzy dresser. A few of the lads might tell you after.
Well, I like to buy nice clothes. The trouble is nowadays they're so expensive, aren't they?
I like to spend a bit of money on clothes.
I do like a lot of clothes. In fact, I spend fortunes on clothes. I am a clothes fanatic, I am. Dwight just comes in Mizuno gear every day.
Everyone repeated, man, I tell you who, you two, Yoki.
I enjoy wearing nice clothes. I think because back home I never used to have such a nice clothes before. Being a bit fortunate now that I can actually go out and afford to have a nice jacket, I go out and just buy everything that I like. I always value the opinion of a woman as well. Like if there's a woman working in there, I always say, I try and pull her aside and say, what do you think, you know, if I'm going out with you like me in such and such, or would this be all right to go in? And I always value a woman opinion for some reason. I got this jacket upstairs, that what I call doing it jacket. You know, when I'm when I am going out and I'm thinking, you know, I could do it, haven't been noticed a little bit. It's a bit bright, but it's quite nice one.
I'm much more at home in a pair of jeans and t-shirts and a pair of boots, really.
Savo, well known for his attributes as a dresser, his stylish gear. He comes in the morning, usually the same as the day before and the day before and the day before.
Savo's jeans, gotta be binned. Look at them. Oh, look at them boxy shorts as well.
Tommy gets a little bit of stick. To be fair, I don't know why, but he does.
Hey, Tom's very smart at that as well. Chicks. Very nice. What do you mean very... I look fantastic all the time, man.
Like when you wear trousers, really, and just like a jumper or something to training, things like that, really.
This is what's known as compost corner. This is compost corner. Look, you know, it's all the dodgy gear. This is Tommy's. This is Tommy's new shirt.
Fantastic.
What is that? Armani. This is Charlo's new corduroy shirt. He's having one at the moment, actually. And the dodgy trousers to match. And the dodgy shoes as well, look.
Too many to mention. I'm dreadful. I think I change at the same time every match day, an hour before kick-off.
I put my left things on, my left boot and left sock, and well, that's it, left shin pad.
I wouldn't say I've really got any superstitions, but I always tend to put my right boot on first.
Yeah, I've got a few, yeah. I always tend to put my my left boot on first and my left shin pad.
I'm wrong too.
Try to do the same things, take off, you know, the shoe on the same foot all the time, and put on the right boot first, left boot second, right shin guard, and do the taping up at different times, and just little bits and bobs like that.
Yeah, just the one superstition that I go out fourth, and I forgot to do that one day, and it didn't make the blowing bit of difference anyway, so I don't know why I do it.
Yeah, I used to never shave the day before the game, but that's changed since the gaffer came now, because everybody's got to be clean shaven on a match day, so I've had to dismiss that one.
I always used to go to the toilet for a number 2, so to speak, before I went out for the kick-off about 2:45, and that was it.
Superstitions are just, you know, daily things that you go through, I think, and I don't think they make that much difference at the end of the day, but some players stick by them.
If I won the lottery, if I really won the full Monty, the real big one,
I'd probably sort my family out first.
Well, I'd give a lot to my friends and family.
I'd have to give my mum and dad something.
all your friends, all your family. I think everyone's got the same feeling. To be able to turn around to all of them and say, you haven't got to worry anymore about anything.
I might emigrate somewhere warmer with all my family and my friends and everyone else I know.
Go and spoil myself, I suppose.
I'd have a massive party, invite everyone.
Get a private jet and fly to Dublin every weekend.
I think I'd possibly pack football in and just bank a hell of a lot of it, live off the interest and go around the world.
I think I'd have to give everybody a big severe wave goodbye, and you'll all see me in a couple of years, I think.
To be fair, I don't think I'd change that much.
Yeah, I'd take off, I'd have my guitar over my shoulder, the Harley on tow, and it'll be sayonara, whatever it's called. Goodbye.
Hey, come on, big. What? We're ready, you know?
Come on in.
Yeah, where's the free? I can't see a free.
And that's Aston Villa's Squaddies as you've never seen or heard them before. A highly trained football army aiming for the very top. We hope you've enjoyed this unique insight into your favourite players. We'll leave you with a few final Just secrets.
The most embarrassing moment, yeah. I think that was probably last summer when all my mates were, we were going to Cavos. There was 6 of us. Got some of our mates' dads to give us a lift down to the airport, got all the suitcases in the car and everything. One of my mates just came out of the house with a suitcase, you know, just about to put it in the car. He's writing the label out to put on the suitcase. You know, he's putting the date on and everything. That's not today's date, so he puts text on and we've got it another day, haven't we? We're flying the next day.
Jack Chant was obsessed with not letting the lads go outside of the hotel because it was so stiflingly hot in Orlando. And one afternoon he said, look, there's a shopping centre, a big shopping mall down the road. Go over there and you know, you can have a couple of hours looking around. So a few of the boys have said, yeah, I need a haircut, you know, or whatever. So we'd already been out there sort of 3 or 4 weeks, it was. We got into the shopping centre, and I said to Tony Cashgreen, I said, I wouldn't mind having it cut really short and having it done blonde. And this is well before Gaza, by the way. And he said, hey, you haven't got the bottle, trying to wind me up to make me have it done. And I said, no, I said, seriously, I wouldn't mind having it done. And when it was actually my turn, she said, what do you want done? And I said, right, I'm going to go for it. I said, I want it short and I want it highlighted and I want it cropped. Next thing, this cap comes out, you know, and I'm like stuck there with this cap on my head in this salon, and she starts pulling pieces of hair through, and she said, is that enough? And I said, no, pull more through, go for more, you know. I thought, sod it, I'm sitting here now, I might as well have it done, go for more. In the end, I got this big tough sort of pull through this cap, and away she goes, she starts doing whatever she did to it. And like, the lads had now been gone like 2 hours, and I was sat there for, I'd been there about 4 hours, and I was beginning to get like and fed up. She kept coming back and having a look, saying, no, not yet, you know. Thinking, what have I done here? So by the time she actually took the cap off, then put this colour on top and got it right, I'd been in, it was like 8 o'clock at night, this whole shopping mall had shut, it was just me and like this woman in there, you know. And so she said, right now, how are we going to cut it? I said, could you give us a brush, love? And she gave me a brush and I just brushed it back. I said, tell you what, I'll come back next week for the cut. I said, because I'm hungry. I said, I'm going to miss my dinner over at the hotel if I'm not careful. I said, give us a bit of gel and I'll whack it back. I said, and I'll leave it at that. She said, are you sure? I said, yeah. I walked back into the hotel and all the lads were in a room eating. No one's really noticed me, and I've sort of just picked up a plate full of food and I've just sat down, and Big Jack was reading a paper as he was eating. He's got his glasses on the end of his nose, you know. And when he looked up, he looked at me and he said, what the hell have you done? And I said, why? And he said, you look like Barbara Streisand, because like the blonde hair and my big brown nose. I did take a bit of stick for it, and genuinely, originally I wanted to have it cut short as well, but I just couldn't be bothered to wait any longer.
First car was a Escort Mark II, blue one, it was right banger. Kept conking out. Actually, one of the mates, one of the Notts County players, lung collapsed once when he was pushing me after a reserve game one night. Well, he pushed me up the road and I drove off. And you know, I didn't bother going back because I didn't want to conk out again. So got to train in the morning and found out it was in hospital. His lung had collapsed. So.
The one in Ireland was probably the worst after the World Cup in 1990. There was like 1 million people turned out to greet us in Dublin. It was mind-blowing, it was brilliant. And then when it had all died down the following day, we came back home, I think, with the children, and then we went back out to Dublin again. We had a lovely time, but all day long, wherever we was walking around the shops, people were wanting photographs all the time, and stopping here and could you sign this, you know. And anyway, I walked around this side street, and I saw this girl with a camera in her hand, and she was actually across the other side of the road, looking at me. I've just sort of caught her eye, and she's happened to look at me. And I've looked at her, and she's got this camera, so I've kind of just stopped, sort of just put my hands by my side and just sort of smiled at her. And then she dropped the camera, and she went, can you get out of the way, please? And I turned around, and there was a statue behind me about 15 foot tall. I went scarlet, and of course I've never lived that one down because unfortunately my wife was there to see it. It's one of them ones where you just have a look over both shoulders and hope no one's seen it, but unfortunately she was with me, so it's one of the most embarrassing, yeah.
The Belfry is a golfer's paradise and so much more. Famous for the 1985, 1989 and 1993 Ryder Cup matches, it also offers 219 four-star bedrooms, 18 conference rooms, a superb leisure centre and the Bel Air nightclub in the hotel grounds. Our 4 bars and 8 restaurants are all open to the public, assuring you of a warm welcome. And memberships available at the Belfry for season ticket holders on our Derby golf course and our leisure centre and for Bel Air nightclub. The Belfry's new conference centre will boast 48 lodge bedrooms, together with a 3rd golf course to be called the PGA National Golf Course. That's expected to open in 1997. The Belfry, a golfer's paradise and so much more.